being your authentic self, being vulnerable, your truth. Hey, I don't like this conflict. Hey, I accept partial responsibility. Hey, I really want to do what it takes to fix this. And that authenticity and that vulnerability invites the other person to, to be vulnerable.
Hey everyone, it's Amy Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true quantum leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less drama and stress. So let's start making magic. Hey everyone, welcome back to Create Magic at Work. So this week I have an exciting episode for you. About a month ago, I want to say, I did an episode with Tracy Meyer called Solving Your Workplace Challenges, and it was quite popular. And the way that we did it was we just asked for you, the listener, to submit questions or challenges that you're facing in the workplace. And we showed up and tried to help you with some solutions. And we really answered them on the fly as executive coaches. So, back by popular demand, we are doing that again in this episode. And I am reintroducing you to a coach that partners with Create Magic at Work, Shawn Comboy. Shawn actually is a former guest, and she talked to us a few months ago about how to navigate chaos in the workplace. And people just loved that episode. So we'll drop that in the show notes so you can go back and listen to it after this if you want to. But Shawn's joining me today to answer the latest questions that have been submitted that people want advice, or they want solutions, or just want to hear our thoughts on. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Shawn. With over 30 years of experience in the corporate world, Shawn has navigated complex organizational changes and led high-performing teams across the globe. Her passion lies in empowering ambitious women leaders to reach their full potential. She's committed to helping people overcome challenges, achieve goals, and create a lasting impact. So whether you're navigating a career transition, leading through change, or seeking to elevate your leadership skills, Shawn is the executive coach for you. And that's why I'm so excited that she is a coach with Create Magic at Work and with the team at Create Magic at Work. And she's here today to offer her wisdom for free on the podcast, complimentary. So Shawn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, I'm always so excited to be here. And you've kind of given me a little teaser of what some of these questions are, so I can't wait to hear.
Yeah. We try not to read them ahead of time, so it just really comes up organically for us, like what we would say if we were helping a leader in the workplace through some of these challenges. And there's one in particular that I think that someone asked that I think you'll be really helpful with. I'm not going to read that one yet, but let's get started. So the first question that was submitted, this person said, I feel like I'm being pulled in too many different directions by leadership. I can't get what I feel is a priority done, is basically what they're saying. And they feel like it's hard for them to determine between what's noise. So I'll read the whole thing. I feel like I'm being pulled in too many directions by leadership. How can I get clarity on what's truly a priority and what is just noise? What would you say to that, Shawn?
I think this is a perfect example of what happens when you haven't communicated a clear vision and clear priorities and all of these things. Down to this isn't even a leader, it sounds like. This is just an individual who is, hey, this is what happens to me when this doesn't come from the leadership group. So, message to leaders, message to leadership. I mean, it's so important. And I think that, for this person, I find them very reflective in that, hey, I need priorities because at the end of the day, I'm going to have to make choices. There's usually always too many things that are coming down. So I need to make choices. in what gets done or what I push off or what have you. So I would say the first thing to do is really to get clear with whether it's my manager or whoever on what those couple of priorities are. So meaning what are the two things that I'm here to deliver to the organization? So as an example, if I'm a sales executive or a sales manager, I need to deliver, revenue. I need to deliver clients or what have you. And then just get clear with my boss. What are those couple of things and just really agree on what those priorities are so that then as the day comes in and you have to make choices because we all do. Think about as I make my choice, what delivers those two things? And those will be at the top of the list and then deprioritize some of the other things.
I mean, we've all been there, right? Like feeling like we're being pulled in different directions and we just feel so scattered. And often we feel like we're not doing a good job at anything because we're just doing a partial job at everything. And I feel like that in the entrepreneur space now. I felt like that in the corporate space. I think it's important to pause in those moments and what you're saying, get really clear on what is the priority. And if you're not clear, ask. Say, I need more clarity. I need to get clear on what you want me to focus on. I had a client one time that was assigned a huge project to deliver on for senior leadership, and they couldn't get the work done for the project because they were in too many meetings talking about the project. And so it was like, how do we make a list of the boundaries you need to set to actually get the project done? And how do you communicate that so you can have that space that you need to get it done? Great call out for leaders to tap in and ask themselves too, are we being clear on what the priority is here?
And just always having that, I'm doing this work because that's what visions are all about, right? For organizations, for groups, so that then you can say, and in order to do this, these two things are the most important thing. So that when choices need to be made, and people make choices every day, they have to. What that really helps guide what's the most important because ideally I have my leaders, my individual contributors, all who have that autonomy and that agency to, be the best they can be. But to this person's point, how do I make informed decisions if I don't know what the priority of the organization is?
Yeah. I kind of have a follow-up question to that for you. So, what if somebody gets really clear and like, okay, here's our priorities. I'm going to be laser focused on this. And they feel like they're working for an organization that keeps popping up fire drills. Like, yes, this is prior, but I need everybody to scramble and do XYZ today. I've been in that environment where it's the constant fire drill. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, to me, there's always going to be fire drills, no matter how clear an organization is on their vision, no matter, how clear they are in the priorities, there's always going to be fire drills, right? To me, though, when there's the constant fire drill, I mean, then either you're not clear on the vision and your priorities, or there's too many, or there's not the discipline involved, right? So again, from a leadership standpoint, and here's where you start talking about to me cultures of organizations. Y- you know, I'm looking for an organization that adheres to these and respects people's agency, so that they, if they're doing what's a priority. And again, there's going to be fire drills every now and then, but if it's a constant fire drill, then to me, I would question whether the organization really has a vision and priorities at all.
Really good. Interesting. Okay, next question. Next submitted question. By the way, we will continue to do these episodes, and I ask these questions on Instagram and Instagram stories on the Create Magic at Work Instagram. So if you follow Create Magic at Work on Instagram, you'll see these pop up in your story and you can reply with a question. We read them anonymously. We try on LinkedIn. We don't get a lot of participation. I don't know if that's because people are afraid their boss is going to see or if they don't want to air a challenge that they're going through, and that's okay, I totally understand. So that's why I'm plugging the Create Magic at Work Instagram right now and with everyone listening, because we'll continue to do these with the Create Magic at Work coaches. Okay, next question. I am struggling with my coworkers and it's affecting the entire team. What can I do to help resolve this? Someone's having conflict with their coworkers and it's affecting the whole team and they want to resolve it.
And this is the person themselves and the coworkers.
Yeah, it says I'm struggling with a conflict with my coworker and it's affecting the whole team. I need help to resolve it. Man, I mean right away, like I used to run sales teams and one conflict, it does affect the whole team. If the team is not in synergy, if there's conflict with a couple of people on the team, wow, it rocks places, right? However, some really cool things can come from that. Some really cool things can come from that conflict, just like in personal relationships, like with your romantic partnerships, conflict and then repair, and then it brings you closer. And that's kind of how I'm equating it to right now. And these are my thoughts on this. But so I would encourage this person who submitted this to say, how can I repair this? What can I do to be the bridge builder? What can I do to build a connection? That's what the emotionally intelligent leader does is they have an emotional management strategy and they plan to build a connection. Maybe they're standing on opposite sides of the bridge. There's a bridge, one person's on one side, the other person's on the other that you're in conflict with. It's like, well, how do you cross the whole bridge and not just meet in the middle? What can you do to build connection? What can you do to stay curious? What can you do to approach the situation without blame and judgment? Because this person just acknowledged it's affecting the whole team. So if you can repair this, there'll be some huge gifts that you learn in this, and the whole team will see that, and you'll elevate the team to a whole new level. Those are just some of my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Sean?
I think the first thing that came to mind to me here is that, one of the people that are in the conflict want to resolve it. That first step is recognizing the conflict and really value and, in repairing it. And so that makes me wonder, I wonder what the other person's thinking. I mean, neither of them are going to be happy about the conflict itself, but if at least you're asking the question, at least you have an appetite to resolve it, then I think it would be really interesting to understand what the other person's appetite is. And then how do you come together and here's where authenticity comes into play, being your authentic self, being vulnerable, your truth. Hey, I don't like this conflict. Hey, I accept partial responsibility. Hey, I really want to do what it takes to fix this. And that authenticity and that vulnerability invites the other person to, to be vulnerable. And I loved what you said. I mean, this isn't just in the professional setting. This is the personal setting. A friendship, an intimate relationship. All of those things. What I loved is just that self-reflection of this conflict is certainly affecting me and others, and I want to repair it.
Great self-awareness for whoever submitted that question. Yeah, really good. And the awareness that just everything that you just said, how they want to take a step to resolve it. But what I was thinking of through all of that is what we don't want to be is conflict avoidant. And often that happens when there's some discord or lack of harmony within a team, or you're just not vibing with someone else on your team and it's just not working out. I see a lot of avoidance at times where it's like, oh, I just don't want to work with this person anymore. But I'm wondering what would happen if we faced that conflict with the intention of repairing it, and what kind of magic could come from that? What kind of new ideas? What would the team then see? So I guess my question to you and I to help the listener that submitted this is, what's a good first step they could take in the repair process?
I'm gonna maybe think about it, as a story and like a client I've worked with in the past, and this can be at every level. And I'll just say this: sometimes these conflicts, maybe a lot of it is our own emotion and how we're carrying it, and their own emotion and how they're carrying it. But to me is what's usually when you talk conflict and I don't know what to do, communication is broken down. So then how do you build communication back up? And can it be something really simple just to go up to that person and say, you know what? I really miss how we were last year together and just being able to have a coffee and just getting their attention.
Yeah. I think just, again, being the person that crosses over to the person at the other side of the bridge, stays open, approach it in some way to where it's not avoidant is what you're saying, right?
Right, right. So, if you think about you getting into some of these conversations and some of them can be sensitive. And if you go in and say, "Hey, I want to talk about our conflict," that may immediately raise, someone's, you know what, I really don't want to, whatever. But if you can kind of take them by surprise, and I love the word disarming, meaning to say something unexpected. I miss the relationship we had last year, and that's it. I'm not talking about the conflict. I'm being vulnerable. I miss the way we used to be. Or I really respect you. And I think that, we could really do greater things if we found a way to work together.
Yeah. I love that. Different ways to frame it. And that's disarming. I started laughing a little bit because, yeah, you don't want to go up to someone and say, "Hey, I want to talk about the conflict we're having." That kind of makes it like, wow, okay.
Depending on the other person's appetite and, maybe they'll shut you down. And the other thing that I say too is, and this is again, in a professional setting, there are resources. There's maybe your direct manager, maybe, getting resources or some kind of conflict management if something's really big. And again, not to say either person is in the wrong, but to just, hey, I think we need some help, resolving the way we work together.
Yeah, I like saying the way we work together, and I like keeping the focus on the work or the tasks because then people don't feel personally attacked. It's not like an attack on your being or your identity. It's like, "Hey, let's talk about how we can work better together. How can we do this project a little bit better together?" And then the key thing with all of this that we've talked about, huge theme throughout Create Magic at Work, is just that bring a high level of presence to that moment and bring a high level of openness. Like, maybe this isn't all even about me. Maybe this person is going through something in their life that's a struggle and it's coming up where I feel like they're hard to work with. Maybe it's not, let me stay curious. Maybe let me figure out what's going on here and just ask that curious question, right? And again, we don't have context. We just have this question thrown at us, but those are some things to ponder.
I was just gonna say one thing that I noticed you kept saying is the word we. It's not me, it's not you, it's we. And just that choice of words can mean the difference between I'm open to what you have to say and I don't have time right now.
And that's really, we're talking about the stages of EQ, emotional intelligence, that bridge building piece. And that's what helps you get to the SQ piece, the spiritual intelligence. Like I'll say it again, when we're approaching this situation, how do you approach it with your ego not in the driver's seat? How do you approach it with your higher self in the driver's seat, where you are coming with presence, compassion, wisdom, and a deep knowing that this might not be all about you? And if you approach it in that way, whatever the conversation is, also some really great intention setting of how you want the conversation to go before you step into the conversation, I think is really helpful. That vision casting, that's really powerful as well. So those are a few of my thoughts. Intention setting before you step into the conversation is big because you can cast the vision of how you want it to go. All right, it's time for a fun, playful, quick break. And it's time for you to discover your spiritual intelligence at work. So, over here at Create Magic at Work, we are not just a great podcast. We are an executive coaching firm, a team dedicated to helping leaders like you create healthier, more fulfilling workplaces. Whether it's through private coaching, transformative workshops, or impactful keynotes, we're here to help support your journey to have less drama and stress and more magical moments in your life. So have a little fun. Take our quick quiz in the show notes and see where you stand. Discover your spiritual intelligence at work. Click on the link in the show notes and reach out to us for support if you need it. Sending magic to you. Okay, I got to get to this next question because I feel like it was meant for you. So you tell me. But somebody said, I need help with sales scalability. I was like, oh gosh, this is why Shawn's on the show this week. They said, this is my pickle I am working through. I need help effectively scaling sales alongside operations without compromising quality and without overwhelming my team.
Oh, wow. There's so much to that.
I knew this was a Shawn question. Yeah. How about like when you hear someone that comes to you and says, I need help scaling sales without overwhelming my team, what's your first thought?
I mean, if I'm going to take sales out of this, I need help scaling as a leader. Now you're talking about not delegating, but empowering. And you're talking about less of a focus on whatever the task is, let's say it's sales, and more of a focus on developing the people that are tasked to do it. So that's when I think about scalability, I think about that because you have so much capacity if you're a doer that that you're finite, but as a leader, that's why you can keep taking on more and more because you become better and better at number one, empowering, not delegating, but empowering people to do the things that are important to you and the organization and them, but also, developing them to achieve not only the organization's goals, but their individual goals as well.
So, how do we keep organizations or ourselves or leaders from overwhelming our teams while we're scaling in the guise of empowering? Do you get what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like I see with companies that are growing pretty rapidly, there's a lot of responsibility that's put on the leaders. And it can have the face of empowerment for projects, but it can also be overwhelming at the same time.
So I'll say this for sales in particular, but this is probably more on the organizational side too, is you have to have the fundamentals in place in order to scale as well. And so let's talk about a sales team. It needs to be structured in a way that the leaders don't have too many sales executives reporting to them, as an example. But then overwhelm usually comes when the targets for the sales team are unachievable. And so then you either have salespeople that have no ability to make commission, as an example, or there's just so much pressure, and you put a sales organization under a lot of pressure. They're overwhelmed, and you'll start to freeze them. So I would say, if you're thinking about scaling your organization, then really think about, what those goals are, and then back into how many salespeople do I need in order to do it, et cetera. And especially if it's a smaller organization, they may not have, the resources or the budget to have that many. So then, at least from a target standpoint, how do you scale that? How do you scale that back? And then I love that they say operations because, we talk about empowering, everyone's a salesperson, especially in any organization. So how does your operations team, help with that as well?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. That's what I was thinking we were sharing it. First off, if you need help with sales scalability, taking a look at what your sales team looks like first off and the structure of it is really important. And then moving from that, I came from the sales side in my former position, and we always viewed operations as the support team for sales. And I know, there's that ongoing debate, sales versus operations, sales were, of course I was on the sales team. So I was like, well, the operations team supports us. We're the ones making the sales. But I think it's nice to take a look at the synergy between operations and sales. And if you can find that sweet spot, that's going to really help you scale. Because if you've got a rock solid sales team and they're going to pull in the numbers for you, and if you've got an operations team that is fully supporting them in what they do, you might interrupt me, Shawn, and say it they don't support it. But because I'm used to saying that, but like like the synergy is there, right? And so, wow, if you could somehow create a healthy respect between sales and operations, you can go really, really far and you can scale pretty fast. That's my take on it. So that comes down to culture, right?
Well, and to me, it is absolutely necessary for sales and operate because to me, those are the two in every organization you can say they're the two core teams, meaning sales sells what operations does, whether it's a service industry or a product or what have you. So you need sales to sell it and get it to, the marketplace, but typically your operations are going to do it. So those are the two core teams, and they should be shaking hands. If you don't have an operations presence in your sales conferences and or in sales as speakers or whatever in your operations retreats and things like that, then you're really missing out. Also, collaboration can be, just amazing. Meaning I'm in sales. I was always asking operations to do, something crazy. What's interesting is when you really start working with them, it's like, "Hey, I really need you to do this." And they're like, "I can't do this, but I can do this."
And the reason why you brought up your personal example, you are an edge walker. You are a huge wise and effective change agent off the scale. The tool that we use at Create Magic at Work is the archetypes of change. And the edge walkers are the bridge builders in the archetypes of change. And so look for the edge walkers in your organization. They are the ones that are going to build the bridge between different departments and help you scale faster and keep things together. So look for the edge walkers to be those bridge builders. Just want to throw that out there. And if you want to take the archetypes of change, you can reach out to us. There's all kinds of information in the show notes on how to connect. Okay, final question. We've only gotten through 3 questions. You will usually get about 3 to 4 on the show. So here's the final one. I feel stuck in my role and I feel like there's no clear path for advancement. How can I grow or get noticed? This person feels like they don't have any growth opportunities. They're stuck in their role and they don't feel like there's a path for them to go anywhere. What would you say?
If I'm talking to this person, the first thing that I would ask them is, "What do you want?" And I would ask them, "Step outside of your role, step outside of your organization, step outside of all of these things, and really think about what you want." And once you're clear on that, then to me, there's so many things that you can do. If oh, what I want includes this organization, that's great. And so then, what are the steps that you can take to start, going down that path? But my first question, and it's a hard one for a lot of people, myself included. I've been, asking myself, what do I want? Oh gosh, I don't know. That is a first question. Because then you can get to where am I right now? So meaning, okay, so how do I determine in this organization or wherever I am, whatever role I'm in, where I work for, whatever company, what have you, where am I at? And is it possible for me to get to what I want? And if yes, okay, what are my next steps? And if no, okay, what are my next steps?
Yeah, and a coach can really help you get really clear on what you want. So if you need help with someone facilitating that thinking, getting an executive coach with Create Magic at Work can really help walk you through getting to the core of what you really want. Because when I read that question, why are we looking for career advancement? There's lots of different reasons for that. One of the core reasons is a pay increase. Like, let's just get down to it, right? Like, everything I hear, like, you can't wait for your annual review where you get some percentage of a raise. If you want a substantial increase in your income, it often involves a career advancement. So now, if that's not the case, then maybe it's something else. But to your point, like getting really clear on like what is it you want, because maybe you make a different move that gives you a pay increase. Maybe you start sharing with the people that need to hear what your goals are once you figured them out. Hey, I'm really looking to advance in my career here. I mean, I think that's a good start. Have we asked or shared that information with anyone around us that can help facilitate that for us? Because there is a lot of really good leaders in the workplace that like to mentor and like to support and like to help. So, first step, have you shared this with anybody? Have you asked for what the feedback is that you need to advance in your career? I kind of went two different ways with that, but I'm thinking like, yeah, why do you want to advance in your career? Is it because you want a pay raise or is it because of something else? That's kind of the core. And then the other reason is, have you shared it with anyone and have you asked for feedback? Again, we don't have a lot of context with these questions, but, and if you have, and you're still not getting where you want to go, well, that's time to reevaluate where you are. Then you feel stuck and then you need to get unstuck. And that could be working for a different company, doing something different. I don't know, but that's what you would need to chat with a coach about.
And I love it, once you're clear, hey, I want to make more money or what have you, and then then the next question is, okay, so how have you asked for it? And one thing, and this another reason to like, where I think coaching is such a great help for people is people get stuck in just asking the question because they're afraid of the answer. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter what the answer is. If the answer is no, there's no money, there's not a raise available, there's not opportunity here. By the way, whether you knew the answer or not, the it was always the same. So now you know, and you can make decisions and choices and things like that. So it's really interesting to find people, and we've probably all been there where, I'm afraid of this no. Well, the answer is whatever it is. If the answer was no, it's a no whether you know it or not. But there's power in knowing it because now you can decide, okay, well, is this enough? Are there other things here in this organization that are valuable to me and I stay? Or if this is really what I need and it's not here, what do I do next? And again, we talk about coaching. Of course, we're two coaches, but then how do you explore those opportunities and what those options are?
So good. Another call to not be avoidant is kind of the theme of what's been coming up, to not be avoidant, because no matter the answer, it will help you get unstuck because at least you know. I love that you shared that. Thank you. Oh my gosh, we have like blasted through over 30 minutes already. Not that there's like a timeline on the show or anything, but yeah, I'm ready to pull a journal prompt card for everyone listening, a message from the universe for you today. Thank you to everyone that submitted the questions for your courage. I hope we helped you a little bit. I'm shuffling the journal prompt card deck now on the Deckable app where you can have like 100 decks in your pocket, the Create Magic at Work journal prompt card deck. Let me see what comes up. Close my eyes. I'll pick one. Okay. We got stability. So, stability is the message for everyone listening today. That's interesting because we were just talking about this person that wanted career advancement. So, the affirmation is, I create stability in my life by consistently working toward my goals.
I love that. It seems honestly, it's so funny. That seems to be the theme of what we talked about before. Meaning, I think the first person was talking about, hey, I don't know what my priorities are because it doesn't seem like the organization has really clearly communicated their vision and goals. And then even towards the last question where we get to, hey, I'm feeling stuck right now. How do I move forward? Well, you know, first step is, hey, where am I going? And then how do I create that stability? Can you read that again? I love that card.
I create stability in my life by consistently working toward my goals. So, Shawn, what are two micro steps as the amazing executive coach you are that someone can take, or what's one micro step that we can all take toward achieving a goal, toward achieving our goals?
I mean, and I know I keep saying this, but and maybe I'll give you two, but the first one is just be clear on what those goals are. would be the first. And I want to keep this along stability. And then, think of, maybe it's every quarter, maybe it's what I'm going to do at the beginning of the year. What's one step I can take to get towards it? And even if it's a scary step, before you poo poo it, I would say, even if it's a scary step, write it down, look at it for a little while. But what's that step that's coming up for you?
Yeah. And everyone listening is going to hear this episode right around the beginning of 2025. And so this is kind of a cool thing to think about because everyone sets New Year's resolutions. And so, what do you want your life to look like by the end of 2025 as far as stability, as far as feeling like you've consistently worked towards your goals? So get really clear on what those are for the year and then start taking tiny steps towards that. What might feel like a small step when you look back at the end of the year, you've made thousands of small steps and you can see how far you've come, right? I think that's a really great way to end today. Shawn, thank you so much for being a returning guest on Create Magic at Work and answering these listener questions on the fly. I know it's like it can be interesting because you've never heard them before, but I think everyone really appreciates your wisdom that you shared and we appreciate you as a coach partnering with Create Magic at Work. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love it every time.
Yes, hopefully we send some magic to everyone. And again, continue to look on Instagram. We'll do these episodes a little bit more consistently to try to help you out there. And have a magical rest of the week. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back every week to listen to a new episode of Create Magic at Work and really helping to support and advocate for healthy leaders, workplaces, and lives for all of us. If you want any information on how to connect with me, click on the link in the show notes. You'll get access to all of the social media links for Create Magic at Work. Stay following along for more amazing episodes where we help you improve productivity and profitability in the workplace and decrease stress. Sending magic to everyone and see you next time.